Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Lucha Underground Luchador Spotlight. On our last episode, we covered the man billed from the cosmos, Aerostar. And today, we're going to talk about the man that had his debut match against Aerostar, Jack Evans.
El mejor luchador.
That's right. The best luchador.
Oh man, Jack Evans is amazing. Here is a guy that's intriguing and I actually really like in more ways than one, besides the causal connection. We did him after Aerostar because where Aerostar does seem like he'll be a guy that's always kind of there, that reliable hand that you could put in a match that, would pop the crowd or establish somebody. Jack Evans, I feel like, can be somebody. He can be a star in this temple. I love his personality. I love his heel work. He's crazy in the ring. And I'm just really excited to talk about his first season today and what the second season may hold for him. So, can't wait for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, this is one of those guys who was barely featured in season one that I want to see be a big player in season two.
Oh, completely agree with you. Everything you just said really captures my sentiments perfectly on Jack Evans because he came a little bit later in the first season, and I loved what they did with him then. Second season, though, now that he's a bit more established, I want to see him on the regular because the more Jack Evans, the better.
Yeah, I completely agree. So let's just talk about his season one. Really not a ton to talk about. He started out just, again, the first match that he had was against Aerostar, which didn't he lose that match? No, he won that match with the crazy backslide bridge, right?
No, you're thinking because his debut match wasn't it against Arhennis and Arhennis won, and then his Gift of the Gods matchup though was against Aerostar, and I feel like he beat Aerostar for the
No,
medallion.
it was the opposite. His debut was against Aerostar, and then he faced Arhennis for the Gift of the Gods medallion, and he beat him.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? I'll just go with it because you're probably right. It's just
No, I
I'm
have
getting all
my
kind of mixed
notes
up.
right here. And in episode
Okay.
27, he debuted against Aerostar. And then in episode 30, he faced Arhennis, and Cueto made it for a medallion because he thought nobody cared about either of these guys. And then Evans won with a bridged backslide.
Right. So yeah, he loses the debut though. I was right about that, but yeah, he does redeem himself with Gift of the Gods.
Yeah.
And then what comes after that?
Really, not a lot. I mean, his next appearance was in episode 35, where he was a part of Team Mundo in the Atomicos match that we got. And then, really, I think that after that, the only thing that he did was the big Gift of the Gods 7-way.
Yeah. So I guess that leaves then season 2.
Which we have a lot more to say about. And I will say, before we actually get into talking about season 2, big shout out to Caltag Star 96, one of our favorite commenters that pretty much keeps up with most of our content. He is a huge Jack Evans fan, and according to him, he wants Jack Evans to be in the Gift of the Gods picture. And to quote him, he thinks he's too talented to do nothing, but he's also not the guy for the main events.
You know what? That's a very fair, even-handed assessment. I think.
Actually, I'm wrong. He said that about Aerostar. He didn't actually say anything about Jack Evans. So Caltech Star, what are you doing, man? We wanted something. You knew we were going to be doing Jack Evans here, and you didn't give us anything to work with.
You dropped the damn ball. But that's all right, because we know you love Jack Evans, so hopefully you love what we have to say.
For what it's worth, though, he did get one thing right.
Which is?
He predicted, along with a bunch of other people, but he was one of the people that predicted that Angelico would be next, and he is.
Yes. So good job on you there, Caltag Star. So as far as Jack Evans with season 2,
yeah.
It's funny, Ashton, because I have kind of a conflict because everybody already knows from the Johnny Mundo episode, which I'll be reiterating, maybe adding a bit more depth to with our next episode on Thursday with Angelico, but everybody knows what I'm going to do with Angelico at Ultima Lucha.
Yeah.
So the thing with Jack Evans is, ideally, if we wanted to be very straightforward, I would have him team with Angelico, start a new trios team after Team Havoc just doesn't work out in the rematch. Angelico stays in the trios division, hooks up with Jack Evans, kind of a shout out to their PWG work, finds a third guy.
PJ Black, please!
PJ Black, yeah, that sounds great. Get PJ Black along for the ride. there's a dissolution, and then Jack Evans and Angelico feud. I don't even know if you'd want that feud to last up to Ultimate Lucha, concluding in some type of one-on-one match or whatever. But I do think I would want to see those guys have a trio again with PJ Black. You could have their dissolution and you could have them feud, but obviously it couldn't be all the way to Ultimate Lucha or even like close to it, because we have to also build, at least in my fantasy booking, on Angelico and Johnny Mundo. So where does that leave Jack Evans? And that's where I'm a bit perplexed, because he's a guy I don't want to give him, the shaft, and really I would prefer not to put him in Gift of the Gods again, because he did that at Ultimate Lucha 1. I'd like to give him something a bit different. The only way I'd give him Gift of the Gods again is if it really seemed like he had a viable shot of winning it.
Yeah.
So that's my conflict, but you know what I would love, but see, again, that's too much fantasy booking, and our series has been dedicated working within the Lucha Underground roster. Because if Blue Demon Jr. was a Technico, I would actually like to see Jack Evans versus Blue Demon Jr., because Jack Evans says that he invented Lucha Libre and he's like the best luchador. Well, Blue Demon Jr. is a legend, and you have him go over this legend.
I
Just like,
really like that.
yeah, so like, honestly, you know what? If you really like that, I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna say by some
I
crazy.
didn't even like it at first, because to me, like Blue Demon Jr. and Jack Evans, that's just such a juxtaposition. But then the way that you described sort of the meaning behind why you would put them together, that makes almost too much sense. That's perfect. You've got
Yeah,
this guy who's like this generic milk, white milk, white bread, purebred, whatever you want to call him, white boy,
right.
talking about how he's the best luchador, talking about how he's the best Mexican fighter, even though he's a gringo, according to the Mexicans. And you've got this other guy who is a legit Mexican legend. Yeah,
Right.
it makes sense that they would clash. That's perfect.
Yeah, you know what, dude? If you really like it for the justification, I can't think of anything better for Jack Evans, and I still feel like, because again, I'd have him go over Blue Demon. So Caltag Star, I hope you don't hate my idea, but just know Jack Evans would go over. Maybe you'd have Blue Demon see the light, realize, wait a
See, but
minute.
you know what though? As much as I would love for Jack Evans, the talent, to beat Blue Demon Jr., the talent, in a story like that, the babyface needs to win.
See, I don't know, man. Maybe we could change the story then, because to me, it would be criminal to not have Jack Evans go over.
I
Like,
agree that it would be criminal for Jack Evans not to win in a feud with Blue Demon Jr., but if you're painting it with that side story, that backstory, I
right.
think it would be even more of a crime to have the guy, the ignorant gringo claiming to be the Mexican legend, going against the actual Mexican legend, and he still comes out on top.
And see, I don't want to do that even Steven booking shit either, because then I was thinking
Right.
about saying, well, maybe a Blue Demon win one match and then Jack Evans wins the match at the big stage, so maybe it has more of a punch. But I don't want to do that crap either, because Lucha Underground's better than that WWE's,
Honestly, maybe just
mentality of
have
booking.
Jack Evans win by cheating.
And that's what I would do anyway. Like, when I said Jack Evans would go over, I didn't mean clean. Like, I was
Right. But
thinking like he'd get a.
yeah, I could see that then. Like maybe like you just have him, maybe, because
I was
like
thinking
my
a
whole
low blow
thing.
and then that pinning combination. Like, that's what.
Yeah, I could buy that. The low
Yeah,
blow,
like,
like he's grabbing the ref and then he like lifts his foot up behind the ref's back
exactly.
to get
Low
the
blow.
demon. Yeah.
Gets it, yeah. So you know what? We'll have Blue Demon alongside with Jack Evans doing his stuff with Angelico. We'll have Blue Demon alongside that, at least for this episode. Saying that he sees the light. Maybe he doesn't really like what Chavo and the crew are doing. Maybe something kind of sets off for him. Like, wait a minute, I was Mexico. I didn't even need to go down this petty path. Whatever. Him and Jack Evans ultimately clash at Ultima Lucha, because the basic template that I laid out. You have Jack Evans go over, because then for season 3 he can brag about that shit nonstop.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I beat Blue Demon Jr., I beat Blue Demon Jr., until somebody either from the Lucha Underground roster or superstar that we haven't seen yet, or a luchador we haven't seen yet, excuse me, steps up. Like, I could just imagine it again, like, you don't want to get too far in the fantasy booking, but, like, he brags about beating Blue Demon Jr., and if Lucha Underground, say, was to acquire somebody like a Rey Mysterio to shut him up, like, I want Jack Evans to work with those guys, because to me it makes sense with the gimmick. You claim to be the best luchador ever, that you invented Lucha Libre. You need to be working with the people that have a more legitimate claim, to that title of Mr. Luchador, this, that, or the other. So, yeah, kind of like almost like a Randy Orton sort of deal in his Legend Killer days, but not with nearly as much like confidence or pompous, but just more like of that heelish, humorous arrogance, I guess, because Jack
Right.
Evans has
Yeah.
got the bucket loads of personality.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm done drawing on because I'm more interested to hear what you have to say. But yeah, I'm gonna run with it then. Jack Evans versus Blue Demon Jr., which is the idea that he's gonna start beating legitimate Mexican legends and legitimate luchadors. So there you go.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my thing. To me, my end game with Jack Evans is to beat the Disciples of Death for the trios titles at Ultima Lucha.
Okay, all right. So with the team though that we established earlier on
Yes,
Helico
yes,
PJ,
him,
yeah.
Angelico, and PJ Black.
Okay, I love it. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, and I would, the way that I would do it is I would do it really kind of old school, where earlier on in the season I would have Angelico, Ivelisse, and Son of Havoc get their rematch and lose. Not decisively, but they would just lose. And then because they would kind of not really have any more motivation to stay together, they would break up. But that would send Angelico towards Johnny Mundo, which we already talked about them having a feud.
Right.
I even think I told you that I think I would want them to feud, but I wouldn't necessarily want them to have that feud culminate at Ultima Lucha, right?
Yes, that was our big disagreement. Yes.
Right. So I would have that happen on the in the meantime. Obviously, I would be debuting and building up PJ Black this whole time because I'm a massive fan of him. He was always one of the guys in WWE that I never understood how he didn't get used more, and when he did get used, how he didn't get used better.
Right.
I think that if anybody's going to do that dude justice, it is Lucha Underground.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes. Agreed so much on that.
Yeah, so that guy I think has all the potential in the world, and I want to see him make it big. And I think that Lucha Underground is a way better avenue for him to do that than frickin' GFW, which I've heard he's also a part of.
Right. I think
Because
isn't
I
he
think
even like yeah.
he's a former X Division champion now.
Yeah, like I think he won their like next gen title or something. I don't know if he dropped it already, but
No, I think he
yeah.
literally during the invasion, the GFW invasion of TNA, I'm pretty sure he actually won the X Division title.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that because I knew about Trevor Lee and whoever else like winning the TNA tag titles. Did not know about PJ Black winning the X Division title. That's
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. From what I have heard, I haven't actually watched an episode of TNA since the very beginning of this year, and that was just to kind of see what was going on with the Destination America thing. Um, just looking back at the title history, it doesn't have him on it, so maybe he didn't win it. But I thought for some reason I thought that he had won
maybe he was in
something.
a title match for it,
I
and
thought he
like
won a title there. I don't know. I
oh yeah,
don't.
yeah.
I don't want to even look him up on Wikipedia for the risk of what if he's actually signed to Lucha Underground. I don't want to spoil myself for that.
Right, yeah, avoid that. But I
Right.
can tell you that in GFW, I think he did win the Next Gen Championship, which was like,
Right.
I guess their Intercontinental title or whatever.
Yeah.
So, he did that there. I don't know if he dropped it already or what, but yeah, if Lucha Underground would acquire him and like, he's there, like, that would be an amazing trio, dude. I love that idea.
Yeah, and with Jack Evans, I would have him kind of run through everyone that he had any kind of troubles with in season 1. So immediately I would have him go after Aerostar because he lost to Aerostar in his debut. I would have him beat Aerostar earlier on in the season, and then I would have him set his targets on Phoenix because Phoenix pinned him for the Gift of the Gods championship.
Yes. Yes, I love the sense of continuity that you're creating here for Jack Evans. That's
Right.
great.
Yeah, so I would have him go after Phoenix. I think that he would beat Phoenix in a non-title match, maybe, or get some kind of cheap, not actually official win. Like maybe he has, maybe just because we already know that they're buddies and they're an established team in AAA, maybe he gets Angelico to like hit him in the head with a kendo stick one time in one of their matches so that he can win by disqualification, forcing Phoenix to defend his title against him. That kind of thing.
Right.
Some kind of cheap win where he doesn't win the title, but he does get a title shot, and I would have him lose that, but I would have him lose it in a relatively vague way so that there's kind of a precedent where, yeah, he lost, but if this one thing wouldn't have happened, he might have actually beaten Phoenix.
I like that. You know what I love about your booking, dude, is not just the sense of continuity, but in the matches that you're putting him in and like how those matches are going down, you know something big is coming for Jack Evans. And that big thing in your case would be winning the Trios Championships at Ultima Lucha against the Disciples of Death, which, let's be honest, with how powerful that Death faction is looking right now,
Yeah,
is a legitimate freaking thing to do.
right.
So, like, that's amazing that you're giving Jack Evans that kind of build. I love
Right.
it.
Well, so then I would have him get a one final match against Phoenix where Phoenix wins clean, just puts a rest to that whole idea that Jack Evans might have had him. Um, Not because I think Jack Evans needs to be portrayed as worse than Phoenix, just because trying to make Phoenix look strong for when he does cash in the championship to try and get a world title shot, right?
Right, right.
So then after that whole debacle, I would have Jack Evans portrayed as feeling kind of low. Maybe he goes on a little bit of a losing streak, and then Angelico comes in again and picks him up and says, "Hey man, let's team up. Let's see if we can find somebody and go after the trio's titles. You know, I'm still feeling salty that these death bastards took my title from me, and Son of Havoc's doing his own thing, Evilise is doing her own thing. I need partners, so let's find somebody and let's go after them." And Jack Evans is like, "No, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'll be a good help." And Angelico like slaps him or something to snap him out of it, and they go partner hunting. So they start doing tag team matches against random people, like just a random tag team match against like Pimpy and Mascarita, and then like a tag team match against maybe like a crazy like weird return match where it's like, oh my god, it's Angelico and Jack Evans versus Son of Havoc and Evilise. Why would you do this? That kind of thing. And then maybe they do like a tag team match against Bengala and Drago, just random mishmashes. And the next thing you know, one of their opponents is PJ Black and I don't know, just somebody random. Maybe like name somebody, John. Just name anybody.
Oh God, Famous B maybe.
Yeah,
Uh,
somebody like that. Yeah.
yeah,
And PJ Black completely carries that team on his back.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
And so yeah, like sure, Famous B is going to get pinned and the team is going to lose, but Angelico and Jack Evans will be like, "Okay, I think we found our guy. We need to approach him." And Angelico will immediately be like, "Yeah, I know him. We used to know each other about back in South Africa. Let me talk to him." And then you kind of get this whole dynamic where Angelico is kind of familiar with both guys in that he and PJ Black have the South Africa connection. He and Jack Evans have been buddies and teaming up in AAA and stuff. But then you kind of also have a little bit of the strange bedfellows thing going on because Jack Evans and PJ Black don't know each other.
Exactly. I
But these
really, yeah.
guys these guys kind of run through the trios division where they beat the team of Drago, Aerostar, and Bengala, and they beat the crew involving Chavo Guerrero, and they beat kind of the according to Dario Cueto, the Freaks team, where it's like Sexy Star, Pimpinella, and Mascarita, and they just kind of run through everyone, and next thing you know, the Disciples of Death notice them and beat the shit out of them in the locker room.
Yeah, okay. All
And
right.
that's like, well, it didn't feel good, but at least we know we're on their radar. At least we know that they see us as a threat, right?
Exactly.
So then the next step, I think, would be maybe adding like a manager or a valet to kind of cancel out Katrina, right?
Right.
I don't have a name in mind. Don't ask me. Um, I'm sure that there are plenty of people that would be interested in a spot as a Lucha Underground valet. So just, and it would be a wrestling spot too, because they would be physically involved with Katrina getting, some offense in on her.
Right.
So then that whole thing builds up to a freaking ladder match at Ultima Lucha for the titles, where finally Angelico gets his titles back. Another crazy spot from a high place, I'm sure. And then you see the new kind of MVP of the team, PJ Black, climbs up and gets the titles, and they're the new champions.
Just visualizing PJ Black on Helico and Jack Evans versus the Disciples of Death at Ultima Lucha.
Yeah.
You know that we need to see Drunken Fist from Jack Evans against the Disciples of Death.
I don't know. I mean, I love when Jack Evans does drunk kung fu, but I feel like the Disciples of Death are kind of they're in their own little world where you want to take everything more seriously.
That is true. That is true. But
That
yeah,
would that would be like someone like that would be like putting Santino Marella against the Undertaker. Like it just doesn't mesh.
It really doesn't. But no, I love your booking, dude.
I
I
could
think
I
it's
could totally
fantastic.
buy Jack Evans whipping out the drunken kung fu in the match against PJ Black and whoever his jobber partner happens to be.
Yeah, there you go. There you
Like
go.
they're just toying with like a famous B or a Vinny Massaro or an Arhennis or whoever it happens to be. They're just toying with that guy, and like Jack Evans gets in and he does the drunken kung fu thing for like a good minute or two. And then PJ Black gets really frustrated. He goes in, he punches Jack Evans, drags his partner over to his corner, and tags himself in.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, you're booking, man, point by point, just absolutely fantastic. So there
I
you have
just
it.
love all three of these guys, and I love that Angelico is like the common connection that they both have.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, guys, there it is. To reiterate, my Ultima Lucha booking: Jack Evans versus Blue Demon Jr. playing on, El Mejor Luchador, but then a real Luchador legend steps up. Ashton here with his detailed crafting has got one hell of a trios tag title matchup.
Yeah,
Jack
I
Evans.
mean with the roster rotation that they do, my idea might be like a 2-season thing.
Dude, I think it could work. And honestly, here's the thing: is I was listening to you, I was just kind of nodding and like, yeah, that does seem like the kind of thing Lucha Underground would do. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
We
But
will. I'm just looking because like I've actually heard rumors that they are actually looking at PJ Black and he might actually be on season 2.
right,
And like it's funny because like I've wanted that dude to be in a major wrestling promotion since he got released by WWE. And like I try and follow I'm following him on Twitter and I try and follow all of his like if he does interviews and stuff like that. Like I freaking love that dude. He's so good. And
right, yeah,
yeah, like I just the fact that there's a possibility now that my favorite wrestling promotion might hire probably my favorite ex WWE wrestler, it's pretty exciting.
oh my God, yeah, exciting times. I mean, you can't get any better than that. Coming from the Johnny Mundo fan, finally seeing him, fight
Yeah, and
home
I was even
elsewhere.
gonna say, like, we already have Johnny Mundo in Lucha Underground, so really, when it comes to like the ex WWE guys, it really does just kind of come down to him, like him, Drew Galloway, and maybe like Chris Mordetsky. And I like Chris Masters, and I've always been a fan of Drew Galloway, but PJ Black just gets me, man.
Then that's great, man. So I hope that your fantasy booking on this one really plays out because I could really see the thought that really went into that, like step by step. I freaking loved it,
I put
guys. Let
my
us.
I put my back into that fantasy book.
Yeah, no, I could tell, dude. I could tell. And so, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I really have nothing more to say. So Ashley, I guess I'll let you sign us off, brother. But yeah, I'm feeling jazzed after that one. That was great.
Well, I already kind of gave it away, and I guess we did kind of pretty much talk about most of his season already. But there's some little dark spots in his season 2 that we haven't talked about yet. So let's talk about Angelico for our next spotlight. That'll be on Thursday. Again, guys, I would happily invite all of you to try and guess who's going to be on our Saturday spotlight after Angelico. And I'll say it right now, even though I've seen a lot of guesses, everyone got Angelico right, but nobody got the person or people or entity, or I'm not going to give anything away here, that we have planned after Angelico. So that's still a little bit of a mystery, and I'm looking forward to seeing the people squirm trying to figure it out. That being said, we will be reviewing NXT tomorrow night, but if you're not into that, just look forward to Angelico on Thursday. Either way, we'll see you there.